When I first went in, they put me right in the Army Air Force as a soldier to speak of. We went to combat training. Later on, they wanted to know what else you did, you know. And I said, my hobby is playing drums. And sure enough, they put me in the band in Miami Beach. And I was there 9 months. Then they shipped me to Louisville, Kentucky, to a band there. And I was with them 2 years. At the edge of France, on the border of France and Germany. A lot of Germans, they were disguised as civilians of French. And our job was to figure out what they look like and all that. And then finally the war was over and they put me back in a band. There was the Radio City Rockettes were going to entertain in Germany for the GIs. They put on shows 6 days a week, and you go to various cities, Regensburg, Bayreuth, Nuremberg, Munich, and they give us billets to go in there. And they auditioned quite a few drummers for the show, but they found out some couldn't cut it. They asked me if I could do it, and I said yes. The conductor, his name was Tal Henry, he was the conductor, and we had a 32-piece orchestra for that stage show. And it was about a 2.5-hour show. I got home and seeing they know I played with the Radio City Rockettes, they gave me a job at Radio City. I played a few jobs at big clubs, Latin Quarters and Club 52 and all them, Leonon and Eddie's, and with very good musicians. I played with Dave Brubeck there. I used to go out to all these jam sessions where their famous musicians are playing, and they like the way you play, and once in a while they give you a call. After that, I decided to go back to Utica, New York, and I got a gig in a nightclub in Utica for 6 nights a week. In the meantime, I'm saying, well, I gotta do something else. I spent all this time in art school, so I put an application to the Air Force Base in Rome, New York. So it was a research and development. At that time, I think it was Strategic Air Command. It was a SAC. They gave me a job there, and I was there 27 years. And I liked that work so much. I worked with scientists and engineers. They come up with an idea, and we have to make an artist's concept of his idea, and our job was put something down that's never been made before, but what he thinks he wants. After the job is completed, whatever my artwork is, he says, well, that's what I want. And they get bids from, like we say, Raytheon, GE, all these big companies to build it. Working with these scientists and engineers, you absorb a lot of their brain, really. I loved that job. I couldn't wait to go to work. I did the rear end of a Jeep with a radio in the back. And sure enough, they used it later on. My wife, Dorotha, I says, why don't we move down to Florida, Hollywood? It looked real nice. It's quiet, you know. It was a small community. What inspires me is I go in the garage and I see 2 little vials of acrylic paint. I says, I think I'll make a painting. It's easy being 100 if you live long enough. What would I do different? Nothing. I would do the same thing with the same mistakes. Same thing. If I could live another 100 years, I want to do the same thing, same mistakes. I don't want to cancel the mistakes.